Hello, in this video we're going to look at the ICT NWK 401 install a server. Its first assessment, the skills assessment, one of two. We're going to look at the first answer book and we're going to start from section 3 onwards, which is this area here. So the first two things that we need in here are the main server properties and the backup server properties. Our main server is this machine here, and our backup server is this machine here. The way we're going to look at those is, if you have a look at the main server, here's all of the properties, so we can see how the machine's all set up. So I'm just going to screen capture this panel here and install it there. So just hit a that'll probably do from there. We can see it's running as well. Copy to the clipboard and stick it back into here. Paste it in and resize it. Okay, we're going to do the same for the backup server. So back here on the Oracle Manager on the backup server, same deal. Copy in the clipboard and we'll stick it just here and resize it to suit. That'll do. So we've got the properties of both the main server and the backup server. The next thing is to include a screenshot of the memory diagnostic test showing the test results measurements. This actually takes quite a bit of time, so we'll get it started, pause, and then have a look at the screenshot when the machine's finished. So let's go to the main server. We will get into it. Start the same thing on the backup server. Flick back to the main server. And what we'll do is use the search and look at memory. And you'll see a Windows Memory Diagnostic, which is what this thing's asking for, memory diagnostic. So we're going to run that. And what it does is it sets it to happen upon a reboot. So we're going to restart now and check for any problems. We'll do the same thing for our backup server as well. Don't need that, so we'll just do a search for memory. And we'll run that and restart now. So what you can see this thing's doing, it's running a test pass 1 of 2, and you can see this is rather slow. It's at 1%, and it'll flick over to 2%, and it's a significant amount of time. That's 2%, okay, which means it's only 1% finished. Okay, so we're just going to let this thing run. We'll pause the video and have a look at this when it's when these things are complete. Okay, so Okay, so the computer will do a reboot after it's finished doing the memory test, and mine both have, and I'll just show you how to find the results. So we just log back in again. Do the same on the backup server. Helps if you can put the right password in. Okay, back to the main server. Okay, so I'm going to do a right mouse click on the and go to Event Viewer. Okay, Windows logs, probably system I would say. Maximize that. Updates are available. Required updates need to be installed. I don't have a choice. Minimize out of the road. Okay, so what we want to do is we've got to the system, Windows logs system, and I'm going to do a find and look for memory diagnostics. Or just memory will do. Okay, and so what we're going to see here is the Windows memory diagnostic tests and computer memory detected no errors. So okay, so let's go find and go memory again, and it shows us this. So you can see my time's currently 7:21. That's because I've stopped and had tea while this thing was running its memory test. But that's when I set it off, about 6 o'clock. So I've had no errors. Okay, so so the event is 12:01, and you'll see the event ID. They've got all these event IDs here, and there's the event ID is 12:01. So that's what we're looking for, is 12:01. Okay, so let's put that up there. That's the one that we've got at the moment. And if I look at the details, it just says pass. It doesn't give us any information whatsoever. Main server, pass. That's the friendly view. What's the XML view look like? Okay. So I suppose at the moment that's the main thing that we need to record. So we could the right control key is our host key, host and E, and that will save it to the main server directory, that there. And we could then import that into the screenshot of the memory showing the test results. So in here is what we'd do is we'd go insert picture from this device, and I would go to this PC, drive C, VMs, cert4, this is the main server, and there's that file. So I'm going to compress, like make this a little smaller. Because I really need to have one for the main server and one for the backup server. So this one shows that it's the main server. You can see that in the picture there. And we're going to do the same for the backup server, which is this machine here. Backup server, so right mouse click, go to the event viewer, and we're going to pick the Windows logs, maximize that, and pick the system, and system logs, and we're going to click find, and do memory. And so you can see here that I've found that last memory test. And if I look at the details and expand the system, go to the bottom, we can see that actually this one, the backup server, it doesn't say that because we never ever changed the name of it. It's still got the awkward name, but it is a pass. Okay, so what we could do is, instead of it doesn't matter. Control E will save the file for that, and that'll save it into the backup server directory. And in our document here, what we'll do is we'll highlight all of this, and we'll go insert picture device. We'll go up one and down into the backup server and pick that file there. And again, we'll change the size of this to match. I think we can just do that. There we go. So we've got both servers in there. What the memory test was. That's the easiest way to find it. Later on, when we're in class, we'll talk about all of these things. So we're going to move on to section 4 now, which is connecting to the internet. And then the next one after that is doing the update settings. So part A, 4A, is connect to the internet. So if we go back to our main server, probably the best thing to do is to do a command prompt. That's the settings for the, and I'm going to do a trace route -D to turn off the DNS. Actually, we can leave the DNS on there, and just www.google.com.au. And so what this does is it traces how this gets out to the internet, and you can see that DNS has resolved it back to its original IP address, and we can see that my internet service provider is Exetel. So that goes to the cert4 firewall router 3.1, and then it goes to my NBN router, which is 1.254. Then it goes out to my internet service provider, which is Exetel, and it goes through a couple of different routers in Exetel before it exits Exetel, and it knows exactly where to go until it gets to that looks like Hong Kong f35.net. It's probably really a virtual machine. So anyway, so it gets to www.google.com.au, and that's what we're going to take a picture of. So if I just pull out here and hit my print screen, click out here, print screen, Nope, the print screen does not want to work. Okay. Well, I can do that by going to GreenShot and going capture a region. And I'll just capture I really need to let it know that it's actually the main server. So main server to there, like that. Copy to clipboard. Go to the Windows machine and in here, Control V. I'm going to go to the backup server and do the same thing. So there's the backup server. Kill that. Kill that. Open up the thing and I'm going to do the same thing. Trace route. www.google.com. So this is not .com.au, it's .com. It's a little bit different. And it's got a different IP address, I think. It's a similar process. It's going to some place in Sydney, F4 in Sydney. So I would say that this machine is in a data center and it's probably Google's website. You know, they've got it distributed across every continent in a data center, in a virtual machine, and that's how we're finding it here. So let's go out to here and go print screen. And we want to look at the fact that it's a backup server and do that. Copy to clipboard and back out to here and Control V. Okay, so that shows us the main server, the backup server, and we can see that they've got different IP addresses. So 172, whereas this is 142. Okay, that's google.com.au. This is google.com. So we've got two different websites, but prove that both of them can get out to the internet, which is what we're trying to do. Briefly mention the settings configured here. So we could briefly mention the settings. So we've got a static. So we've got a static IP with a gateway and DNS settings. Okay. So that's all I'd have to say there. And I'm in 4, so can I go Control Enter puts it to there. Okay, B, the update settings. So basically in here, we would go to the server manager. I killed it. So I don't know whether you've got an update manager there. You probably don't. Okay, so what we need to do is settings, and we'll go down to update and security. And so we can see here that that's our update settings. What do they want? Just window update, advanced options configuration is what they want. So back to here, we want the advanced options configuration settings. Okay, so I would go Control E and save that. I do the same thing on, that's the backup server, I do the same thing on the main server. So right mouse click settings or control panel. Okay, so probably left mouse click settings, go to update, down to advanced options. It's interesting that the main server, which is server 2016, is different to 2019. So let's go Control E to save that to the main server directory. And in here, what we'll do is we'll insert picture, this device, that's the backup server. So let's go to the main server, pick up that thing, and that's about right. So let's do the same thing for this. We'll go insert picture, this device, back to the backup server, pick up that second one. Now you can see here the difference between server 2016 and server 2019. There's obviously a difference. And we could briefly mention the settings configured for Windows updates here. Okay. Patch the operating system and applications. Okay. So here it says Windows Update Patch Install Status. So it's not saying that it has to be done, it's just what is the status of it. Okay. So if I look here on the main server and I back out of this, what I can see is that there's still some updates required. So what I want is a screen capture of that. Control E, save it. This is on the main server. If I go to our backup, we want to look at the main settings. We can see all the updates that are required. Control E, and we'll save that into its directory, and then we'll put the pictures here. So for the I think it's the insert picture from device. It's currently in the backup server, so let's get the last one. That's in the backup server. Let's go back to the main server, insert picture device. Let's head back to the main server and plug that one in. Okay, so that's those two. Now we're going to look at the Windows Defender security settings. We're currently in the main one here, so let's take a shot for that. Windows security. Did they say Defender/security settings? So if I go Defender, it's Windows Defender settings, but it's the firewall, isn't it? Okay, Windows security configuration. So do they want Defender or do they want security settings? I think it can be either one or the other. Okay. So let's go back to here. Okay. So let's go security. Let's go Windows security. Because this will be that's security at a glance, and that's all of them. So that's app, virus, device, firewall, and network protection. So that's all of them. So this is the backup server. Okay, so I think this covers all of them. So let's go Control E to get a picture of that. And let's go back to the main server and do the same thing. Let's go security. security status, because I think that's closest. Okay. System and security. There's an obvious difference between status control. Okay, so we go there. I think that's where I just was, yeah. That's a bit different. Let's go Control E on that one and put it there, and let's pile these into here. So this is on the main server. Let's go Insert, Picture, Device. I'm on the main server. Let's pick the last one, and let's change the size of that. Okay. And so in here, let's do the Insert, Picture, Device, and go to the backup server. Pick the last one, and let's change the size of this thing. Okay, so there's a bit of a difference between these, the way that they display what their security is, and I think there's more features in the 2019 one compared to the 2016. Successful application installation on the main server, include details. Okay, so this is an installation of SQL Express. Okay, so on the main server, by the looks of it. Yes, on the main server. Okay. Okay, so let's have a quick look at where this is. So if I go to the Moodle, there's the Moodle, and I'll go back to the page. Whoop, the session's timed out. That's because I had tea in the meantime. Confirm. Nope. Don't want to cancel. I'm still here. What's it doing? It's got me in, but not in the right place. Okay. Is it 4719? 4679 or something like that. Go back to here, it'll tell me. 4680. Close. 4680. Okay, so there I'm back to install and manage a server. Okay. Okay, so what we're looking for is the SQL Express 2019 and include evidence of successfully installing the application software. Okay, so where do we find this? If we go to the unit guides on the Moodle and go to the student resources for ISOs and all that sort of stuff, on the VM resources, look for software, and there's the Microsoft SQL Express 2019. And what you'll see is this is an ISO image. So what you can do is you can mount that ISO into the CD-ROM and then install it for your virtual machine. So that means on my main server, what I can do is on the devices in the optical drive, you can see that I've already got it there, but if I remove that and I went devices, optical, choose a disk, I would then go to my OneDrive repository, the VM resources, I'd look for the software, I'd look for the Express, and I'd mount this ISO image. Okay, and so what it's going to do is going to ask, do you want to choose what happens to that disk? And if you click on it, you can run the setup program. Okay, so let's run that setup program. And I'll kill that for the moment. This is the program running. And you can look at the hardware, the security release, system configuration checker is probably the thing. Launcher tool to check that the conditions that prevent a successful, to check for conditions that prevent a successful SQL Server installation. Then you could look at how you're going to migrate the data from whatever you had before to this. And then eventually you can go down to installation and then a new server standalone installation or add features to an existing. So you do a new you'd install a new one after you've done the checking. So on the planning side of things, you'd run the system configuration checker. Now I think I may have already installed it on this machine, so I'm just going to quickly go check. If I go to my drive C, I've got my SQL Server already installed. You can see it's already there. Show details. So you can see here that I've run my setup and it's passed all of these things here. It knows that it's a domain controller server setup product. Okay. So mine passed everything, and then to quit the server setup, click yes. To return to SQL Server setup, click no. So then if I went to the installation side of things, I'd want to do a new SQL Server standalone installation and click on that. This is a little bit tedious, but basically you just follow what it says. And I think in the maintenance tools, configuration check, install server feature discovery report. So I can do a report here that reports of all of the SQL Server products and features that are installed on this local server. And I think that's what we need. Successful application installation. Include details of the application installed on name of the server is that. Now, include evidence of successfully installing the application. So, testing. Okay, so let's get a picture in here of it. It's installed. Okay, so I don't need that. Back to the server. There it is. So I might do this features discovery report, and that'll tell me what's actually installed. And I can take a picture of that and put it in. Let's just see if there's license. These are all just resources for like books and tech center and advanced stuff. Preparation for standalone installation. Image completion of pre-prepared. No, okay, so look at maintenance. Maintenance is the launch an update. If you had a failover cluster, do a repair, an addition upgrade. That's maintenance, installation. Yeah, so planning's just doing the checks to find out, and they've got lots of different wizards here, documentation as well. Download the migration assistant for migrating from different other versions of databases to get the data in. So in our case, it's going to be the tools directory and doing the discovery, or we can do the configuration checker as well. Launch a tool, check the prevent a successful. Well, we don't need to do that. We did that in the planning, remember? So system configuration checker was up here. So we ran that, and we got ticks for everything. They were all green. So on the tools here, the one we want is the discovery agent. I'm going to pick Chrome rather than Internet Explorer. Use that always. Just because I don't like Internet Explorer. Okay. So this tells us that it's not clustered, it is configured, it's an Enterprise Evaluation Edition, what the language is, which is like English, the instance and the version, all that sort of stuff. So set it as a default. Choose Chrome. Okay. So I suppose we just do a capture of that. Nope, lets me do a screen capture of that region. So this is the main server. I want to show that. I want to show that it's all okay. So copy to the clipboard, back to our document. And this is what we do for just about everything is we Control V, is that we have pictures that show, main server, that it's all installed, everything like that. Testing the installed software. What tools do we use? Okay, so we'll worry about testing later on. The tool used. Okay. Assessment planning tool can help with your migration to SQL Server by giving you a complete network inventory, Oracle installations as part of the comprehensive process of planning migrating. So that's just finding out where everything is. Can we go testing? Is there any testing on here? Cluster, standalone. Okay, let's go options. Resources. So it's just resources. So it's only on the tools. So at the moment, I don't think we've got a way of. Oh, we've got a test software. Okay, so let's run this system configuration checker, which is the same one that we ran it right at the very front to make sure everything was okay before you do an install. There's a lot of links in here that we don't actually need. We can view the detail report. Instead of showing this one here, let's view the detailed report. Okay, so system configuration check report. So this could be the thing that we could put in here. So system configuration check report. Okay. the tool that we used was the system configuration check, which is this thing. Control C, Control paste. So did it pass? Yeah. All passed. Failed nil. Was there a warning on the firewall? Skipped nil. Okay, so let's just check here. Okay, there's nothing that's failed. Everything's passed. Well, actually, that thing was not applicable. So what I should do is maximize that. So I've got the whole thing. And then do a Control E, save it. And I'll import that into here, I think. So instead of answering all this, let's just put the actual results in. So let's go insert picture device. That's the backup. We want the main server. The last one, which is that report there. Okay, so we want to change the size of this to just inside the box will do. So we've got all the tests there. It's all passed. Test results interpretation rules detail report. Well, that is the detail report. Maybe they wanted the other one as well. So maybe we need to move the detail report, this thing, cut that and stick it down in the detail report. Control V. Okay. So let's not do the detail report. Screen capture that and stick it back up in the other one. Okay. So kill that. That's the not detailed report. So let's go and screen capture that. Capture a region. I still want main server. Copy to clipboard and we want to stick that here. Control V. And we want to change the size. That'll do. So that's all in there. Right here, inclusive of the rules and status in the summary report. Rules and status report. Okay. So where is the rules and status report? Can't see that. So let's go to so let's go to the directory, configuration manager. Okay, so let's go to the configuration manager. Okay, SQL configuration manager. So what we're after is a rules and status summary report. It's all about disk cleanup. Action. Okay. So let's expand some of these things. Client protocols. Protocols. Okay, so this doesn't seem like it's anything related to, this is all about setup. Okay, so let's just see if there's anything actually in the Server Manager tools. Can't see anything in here that says anything about SQL Server. Because it's not really a service that way, it's an application, isn't it, really? So it's not really a service that the server really needs to worry about, it's an application. So it's a matter of finding the right thing in our, what's optional features? So it must be somewhere in this SQL Server area. So we had a look at the configuration manager, error and usage reporting. Well, it says usage reporting, so that's importing and exporting data, and that's the installation center. If I go to the installation center, I'm imagining that's where we were before. Yeah, install, plan, manage tools, resources, options, yeah. And these things are all these are all the same things that we've seen before. Tools, features, discovery, configuration, assessment, mapping, maintenance, addition, repair, update. That's the installation. New machine learning, previous upgrade. Install SQL Server management tools. Maybe that's what we need in rules and report, status report. Okay, so we might install SQL Server managed tools as well. Server Management Studio unattended. Okay, so that's downloading SQL Server. We've already got it. So what we're going to do is go back to the installation. So we're going to new server, standalone edition, or add features to an existing. So we're going to add features to the existing. This PC. Browse for the installation meter. It's on here. There's a server reporting services here. So install rules, feature rules. There are no updates for SQL found online. Okay. Can we move next? Completed, download, extract files, install. This is like running through the setup process. Okay, so there's the Windows firewall warning, which I had a firewall warning. Rules and status report. I'm assuming that one of these will be the report that we need. So let's just go. I might just go out of here and do a screenshot, capture region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that to show the firewall. So copy to clipboard, and we had that. I had that for the warning on the firewall. It was all I really did was I said that it did have a warning. Just says make sure all these ports are open. I suppose we could just capture that and stick that there. Test results. The rules and status report. Okay. I suppose we could do that instead. We've told it that there was one, so let's just go next. That evaluation, license keys, I accept. This is how you do a normal install. The feature selection is the part. I didn't tick any of these when I first did the install. But what I might do now is look to see if I can get master data set. I'm looking for something that allows me to do reports. Shared features, machine learning, Python. No, let's go next. Validation errors on this page. Choose OK. To continue, select a feature to install. If all features are already selected, these features are installed. You cannot add additional features. Okay, so it really wants, how about analysis services? It looks at the prerequisites and says that that's already installed, and it needs another 635 megabytes. So this is on the main database engine services. I've put analysis services as well. Shared features. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm going to add to it. Go next. So first time I did an install, I didn't bother ticking anything here. I just went next, 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 next. Ran through the install, and you can see everything passed. There was a warning as part of this process when I was looking at the install rules and the initial install setup and that sort of stuff. I did have a firewall warning, which is why I've got that mentioned. Default instance, named instance. If I go default instance, yep. Instance. So it skips over these feature, well, the feature rules and selections. That was all the, it just does them for you. Configuration, validation errors. Okay, close. Okay. The instance MSQ is already in use. To continue, specify unique instance name. Okay, let's go. Demo. So it's having a think. So this is actually putting a new instance of SQL Server. Becomes part of the installation path. Okay. Because it's really this analysis services configuration that I really want. To see whether I can do reports from it. And all of that's related to trying to get the rules and status report. I'm not sure whether that means one of these rules and like feature rules and some of these things, you take a screenshot of these along the way. Okay, so it says service accounts, server analysis services, that's what we're after. Automatic startup, SQL Server Browser. What's collation do? Whatever. Next. I don't think this is analysis services administration. Have unrestricted access to analysis services. Okay. You must provision the system with at least one system administrator. Add the current user. Administrator. Okay. So we're adding the administrator in. Next. It's skipped over the features configuration rules. That's the sort of thing that I actually wanted to. Can I go back? Okay, so here's features configuration rules. What I'm looking for is a screenshot of the rules and the status in the summary report. So this is a summary. Or maybe it's in the summary report. Maybe it's in this. I can't, when we looked at the details of this, I couldn't, there's a rules documentation, but there's nothing that specifically says rules and status report. Okay, but I've got one here. Show the details. Feature configuration rules, detailed report. And install feature specific configuration rules. But the rules and the status in the summary report. I'm thinking it's like this thing. Global rules. Set up configuration checks for the rules. Set up configuration checks for rules, group, global rules. I'm going to just take a screen capture of that. So let's go Control E, paste that in, and I'm going to stick that in here, screenshot. Insert picture device, that's the latest one. And we're going to make it smaller. About that size there. It's still part of the system configuration check, but this is sort of like rule names, although they had rule names and stuff there as well. Yeah, look, I'm not sure if I'm getting the right things here. We've got global rules. Here we've got the check rules. Check for rules group. Checks for rules groups. It's the same global. Well, it's different. This says global rules, and this says, okay, it's slightly different. You can save this to the directory as a report, and then Let's go next, ready to install. And then you hit the install, and that will install this new instance called demo. Called demo. You can see the instance name is demo. So I think this is a new installation of SQL Server, but now I've already got one instance installed. It's now installing a second instance with called demo, whereas the other one had whatever the other name was originally. Can I go back to features rule? I want to look at the feature rules and see whether that's got a report as well. Because at the moment I've already got an instance of SQL Server installed, so really I don't need to install another one called demo. I've already got one. The first time I went through all of this, I just left it at the default instance. The default instance wasn't installed. It was the first time I'd run it, so it just went through. And basically, I just went next, install. When I got down to ready to install, and then it did the installation process and told me it was complete and gave me a report. So this is the absolutely simple way to install this Express, SQL Express, which is not a completely full version of, so you can get back to the features rules, and if I view the report of that, it's the same thing as the one that I just took a picture of. And it's got the firewalls enabled, so that's the warning. You can see it's got a warning there. These things are passed, some things are not applicable, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I can cancel this because this is an installation or another installation of SQL Server Express, which we don't need. To quit that, press yes. Okay. And I already had a default one. Okay, evaluation. And I don't think there's any other report that I can stick in here. No, I'm pretty sure there isn't. On the maintenance was that's for updates, repair, remove. The tools was that features discovery report, which we did. We've done the systems configuration checker, which is this thing up here. The features discovery is that thing there. Assessment and planning toolkit for SQL Server, migrate. That's only helping to migrate other versions of server data into SQL. It's just an import tool. So there's nothing really there. The resources just all links to different websites or whatever in order to get more information about SQL Server. And on the advanced is really about making this into a cluster, which we don't really need to do. Image completion of a prepared standalones. Launch a wizard to configure the prepared image instance of that. And that's just options saying where the media was. So I'm pretty sure that that's all we can actually do. There is a configuration manager, which is this thing that we were looking at before. Add columns, detail. There's nothing that we can do here. It's all That's the SQL server. The browser's not running, or the server agent's not running. We could actually enable those if we really wanted to. Protocols. Yeah, nothing to do there. Okay. Whoops, where am I? I'm there. Back out of that. Okay, what we're going to do is we'll just stop this video here at the moment. We've got the stuff for the installation of SQL, and then we're going to move on to section 5, 6 and 7 in the next video.